I start our today's session, day 4, with a wonderful quote. I quote, when we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. This is a quote by Carl Sperers. And with this quote, I welcome you all to the fourth day of this International Faculty Development Program on Empowering Teacher Education and Technology, organized by Government Degree College Dharal,
Hello.
of JNK, in collaboration with Cape Comorin Trust India.
Okay.
I welcome to you all. I
Okay.
request Priyanka Nanda, please mute yourself. Thank you. Uh, so, our resource person has joined us today. She is a versatile personality. Dr. Sister Candy Hunsa is an associate professor of English at Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh, India. She holds various academic responsibilities such as NAC coordinator, IQSC coordinator of SNH department. She is the author of three books, namely Key of Life, The Fiction Unfolded, Critical Gazes on Indian Women Novelists in English, Ecosphere and Self-Realization in Margaret Atwood's Prose, and that was all published in by Washington, London artists. She has also edited 2 volumes of English language and literature in the era of globalization, published by the Authors Press, New Delhi, and 4 volumes on eco-critical studies, sponsored book project by Dr. Ken Sadhana, Eastern University of Michigan. She has done a professional course on world literature from Harvard University, verified certificate course in April 2020, and got 86% for the score. That's fantabulous, ma'am. She
Thank
has a number of national and international publications to her credit too. She has attended many international and national seminars, workshops, and have delivered guest lecture in various reputed institutions. She has also chaired in national and international conferences. She has been honored with all-round best proficiency from Hungary in year 2012. She received the Best Teacher Award KBN UGC Women's Study Center in 2019. She received a certificate of honor for delivering disc questioning on meta language as a part of didactic initiatives at Delhi Literature Expedia. And the list is so long. Seriously, ma'am, hats off to you. Uh,
thank you.
and I'm just skipping major portions actually. I want to really read
Okay,
and
no problem. Thank you so much for your wonderful introduction and welcoming to this great gathering. So I'm honored, truly honored to be the part of this academic group. And I just agreed to be because I would like to share some of my feelings with you so that these academicians will bring a change. They will also try to incorporate some of the ideas into teaching and learning. So thank you so much for your introduction.
over to you, sister.
Thank you, Dr. Subra. Thank you so much. So I just would like to share my PPT. Just check it up whether it is visible or not. Is it visible? Are you able to see?
Not yet, ma'am.
I have shared it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, you are able to see, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay.
We can have it on the screen, this mode.
Yeah,
Slide.
it is in the slide mode only. I have enlarged it. Is it not? Slides. It is in the screen mode only. I mean, I have enlarged the slides.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Are you able to see the enlarged slides?
Yes, ma'am. I think you can start the slideshow from the beginning.
Yeah, this is only the first slide. So
Okay,
can you
ma'am.
see my picture?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that is only
Yes,
the
we can.
first slide.
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
So I am Dr. Sister Candy Tikuna, Associate Professor of English from Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Vijayawada. So good evening to one and all. And I'm very, very happy, as I said, to be a part of this great academic gathering. And very appropriately, you have chosen the topic on teacher education and technology, empowering teacher education and technology. And I think that that is a need of the hour. And all the academicians, great learners, those who have mastery over the research expertise, great scholars are over here on this forum to get a lot of ideas. And I am so sure that the resource persons, those who came and spoke to you all these days, might have taught you or might have expressed their ideas on digital technology, how to use and its importance in this digital era. So in the light of this topic, empowering teacher education and technology, I have also chosen my topic, teaching and learning in the digital era, and taking into consideration more of instructional design for micro and macro teaching, because that is exactly the need of the hour. We know the gadgets, we know the technology, but how to fit into our teaching plan, how to fit all these gadgets, and how to make our teaching more effective in this digital era. So the resource persons, those who spoke to you, they might have spoken about so many apps, they might have spoken about so many tools, they might have told you how to use Moodles, how to use LMS, how to use Google Classrooms, and then Microsoft Teams, and the other important tools which are, very much important in this digital era. So I was just reflecting, how can I make my talk a little different one? So taking into consideration teaching and learning, and then I know that many of you are from different parts of the country. It is an international forum, and then you may be also preparing for your assessment, NAC and NBA, and those kind of accreditations which are important. And these aspects of teaching and learning plays a predominant role. It is in a criterion 2, and then it comes into various aspects of our NAC or NBA documentation work, because the whole chunk of the accreditation revolves on this teaching and learning from different viewpoints. So for me, I personally reflected, what can I speak to these academicians? And I'm very much grateful to Dr. Regin for giving me this golden opportunity. We have conducted so many conferences and then these kind of workshops and FDPs in the past. And I'm very happy to be a part of this great academic group, because they keep on organizing many things to bring a kind of revelation change in the society and world at large. So I'm emphasizing my topic on these teaching and learning in the digital era. And later I'm going to highlight on the aspects of instructional designing through micro and macro teaching, and enable you to reflect and see which one you would prefer and how will you go to your class tomorrow with a fresh outlook. I think some of you might have done BEd, and then DEd and the other teaching courses you might have learned over there. But I'm going to give you a little bit new idea, new designs, new instructions. And I'm also going to invite your suggestions if you have any, so that I can also incorporate in my teaching and learning. I too would like to hear from you. Any of the new points or any clarifications, maybe after my presentation is over. So let me begin with a famous quotation of Albert Einstein. He aptly said, "It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge." It is a supreme art. Supreme art means a supreme responsibility. So why are we called teachers? We are called teachers because we have certain qualities of a teacher. So teacher is not an ordinary, a kind of a teacher, but she becomes a proper teacher with certain qualities. And he has aptly, assumed this particular statement, and it is very much appealing even for this digital era. It is the supreme art of a teacher. It is the highest responsibility of a teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. So, what are those creative expressions and knowledge? So, we need to, bring in a joy. We need to bring in enthusiasm. We need to bring in vigor in our classrooms. And it is a bounden duty, responsibility of a teacher to awaken that joy. So teaching and learning to be creative in the digital era. So when you talk about digital era, it has to do so much with the gadgets, but at the same time, let us not ultimately forget the purpose that it is in the hands of a teacher to make the whole chunk very creative and full of knowledge and bring in that expression of learning. So let me plunge into the topic, directly into our topics. So I was talking about this Benjamin Bloom. So Benjamin Bloom, he was headed by a committee, and he came to India to revise the theoretical framework in Indian education system. So along with a group of experts and the academicians, they sat together and they propounded the hierarchical of learning structure, and that hierarchy they called it as Bloom's taxonomy. So Bloom's taxonomy is bringing into light certain aspects of learning. So his contribution to not only Indian scenario but to various countries in the world made a lot of impact on teaching and learning. Especially coming to the teaching environment in the classrooms. So his first step of Bloom's taxonomy centers on remembering concepts. So it focuses on recognizing and recalling facts. And the second one, understanding what the facts mean. And the third level of Bloom's taxonomy is on application, to applying the facts, rules, concepts, and ideas. And the fourth aspect of Bloom's taxonomy is to analyze, that is breaking down information into component parts. And the fifth step of this hierarchy is to evaluate, judging the value of information or ideas. And the climax, the pinnacle of this structure, what he designed is creativity, or to create, that is combining parts to make a new whole. So I think all of us are very much familiar with Bloom's concept of this hierarchical design, which he has given to not only Indian situations, to many parts of the world. And the teachers are trying to incorporate in one way or the other in the concept of teaching and learning. But coming to digital era, are we trying to take these applications into our classrooms? It is a very important question to be asked at this juncture, because when we talk teaching and learning in the digital era, these particular aspects are very important, because ultimately we need to take learner from remember to the creativity level. Now let us just look at this diagram which is there in front of you. The whole chunk of teaching, it can be segregated into three domains. So cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. So Bloom, he was an American psychologist. So he has taken into consideration a lot of psychological aspects of a learner. So how will this learner learn? What are his different aspects of learning? What are his different ways of learning? What are the learner's different styles of learning? So he has thoroughly studied, along with his companions, the whole process of learning, and he has come out with this beautiful concept of Bloom's taxonomy. So it focuses on cognitive, that is knowledge-based domain. So the whole thing is knowledge, skill, and attitude, which can be summarized into three. One is cognitive domain. Cognitive is very, very important in this entire process of learning because it takes into consideration understanding, and then understanding through senses, understanding through experience, understanding through feelings. And the second one is affective domain. So it again considers feelings and attitudes of a person. So how a learner learns through attitudinal based domain, what kind of attitude he or she puts up when he undergoes a kind of a training or a learning process. And the third one is psychomotor domain, that is coordination of physical and mental world. So more of physical movement, physical activities are taken into consideration. So my dear teaching fraternity, I would like to touch a little more on this Bloom's theoretical framework, because this will not only make you, realize your students, your learners in your classrooms, but it will also make you understand what stand you are to take in this digital era. When you come up with some gadgets, when you use some tools, when you use up some technology-based learning classrooms. So just look at this Bloom's taxonomy. It is the cognitive process dimension. The whole thing is centered on cognitive process, because we have seen the six steps to Bloom's taxonomy. The first one, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Now just have your eyes upon this slide and cleanly observe, or if you have learned in the past, please try to recollect what you have learned, reflect what you have learned. And because it is FDP, a faculty development program, a faculty training program, it will also give you a kind of, a motivational kind of a stimulation to come up with new design, come up with new ideas, come up with new insights in this digital era. So the first one, all these centers on the knowledge dimension, that is factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. So among these four dimensions, metacognitive knowledge is very important because it will lead to the highest peakest point, that is creative, according to Bloom's taxonomy, and over here, actualize. So ultimately, a learner, whether he is learning digitally or whether you are incorporating both physical learning and digital learning, but ultimately the learner should get that experience of actualization or self-actualization. Now remember, the first step is remember. So suppose I think many of English teachers are over here. I also saw teachers from physics stream are here, and then chemistry stream are here, and lot many resource persons, they are very carefully chosen. They are also from different streams, so they can use appropriate examples, and then they can motivate the entire faculty development program by giving various examples. So since I am from the English stream, from English background, I would like to quote a few examples, which all of you will remember, and it is common to all of you because it's our language. We communicate in English, and then it is a subject which we have learned already in our bygone days. So I would like to give some of the examples from English. Now you try to take the first thing, list. Take example of noun. When a teacher teaches the concept of noun in the class, name of a person, place, animal, thing. So after teaching, if a student is able to reproduce, or he is able to, remember and say the names of animals, the names of places, things exactly, then we take it for granted that he has a good memory, he is able to remember. But it is only a factual knowledge which teacher has taught in connection with the noun. But there is again the second step in the remembering aspect, that is conceptual knowledge. So a child should be able to describe, now what is that list? Correctly, he should be able to describe. Suppose he has learned that Mumbai is a metropolitan city. So he should be able to describe where that city is situated, where it is located, or at the most he should be able to say how it is, why it is called as a name of a place, how it is attributed, like why it is called a noun connecting to a name of a place, or it is called a proper noun or it is called a common noun, whatever we may, we might have given the instructions in the first step of remembrance. So learner should be able to conceptualize his knowledge and he should be able to describe it. And then later he should be able to move to procedural knowledge, that is tabulate the knowledge, which means associate that knowledge to a learning experience, which is a little more higher step in learning, in remembering. And the last one is appropriately use. If he is able to remember, this remembrance should lead him to appropriately use. Otherwise, the entire purpose of a teacher is defeated. So it may be with the digital tools or it may be with the physical kind of setup, but the whole thing depends on your lesson plan, which I'll be highlighting slowly. So this is first step of Bloom's taxonomy, highlighting on remembering. The second one is understanding, which is equally important because unless and until we lead the learner through each and every step, they cannot reach actualization or this creative level. The second one is understanding. So enabling learner to summarize. So noun is the name of a person, animal, thing, just not learning it by heart or, mugging it up or buttifying it, but able to summarize it, able to understand what it means and able to, correctly summarize it in the given situation or in the given context, maybe in the examination or a digital thing. If you take, for example, a quiz or something like that, you conduct, he should be able to summarize the concept. And second step, the conceptual knowledge to interpret that perfectly, to interpret what he has summarized. And the next one is to predict in the right manner what it all means. So you can take different experience from your own subject. It can be algebra, it can be geometry, it can be physics, Brownian motion, and it can be algebra, a simple equation of a square plus 2ab plus b square, a plus b the whole square. So anything it can be, but it should not be only for buttifying, but it should lead to the second step of understanding. And the last, here again the important step over here as we move to the cognitive area. Can anyone say what is this at the end after predict? Can any person in the group, so you are able to see the slides or not? Can anyone say what is written over here? It is execute. Yes, very good. So it is execute. Finally, understanding should lead to execute. Unless and until a learner is able to execute, a teacher should not take it for granted that the learner has understood. See the colors in which this entire cognitive process dimension is, it is segregated, is explained, and is presented before you. Now look at the third one, apply, which is very, very important. And it goes in a kind of a shape. See, a kind of a L shape. It goes from the top, and again the pink shade, how it is projected before you. So application, when the learner is able to apply, he will be able to classify it. Classify, for example, name of a person, place, animal, and thing. He will be able to exactly classify. So this is a proper noun, this is a common noun, this is a collective noun, this is an abstract noun, or whatever. He will be able to identify and classify it perfectly well. Then the teacher can take it for granted that he has reached the third level of Bloom's taxonomy. And the fourth one is conceptual knowledge. The teacher can identify when he is able to perform experiments. He is able to not experiments with like lab experiments as such, but experimenting upon his learning capability. Teacher also can understand how well he is able to understand as she is able to, look at the learner and experience the same. And then he will be able to calculate it. Able to calculate means able to again correctly put it in a right context. So if you talk about mathematics, it comes under that calculation, but it can come under other calculation means appropriately fix it. So that is procedural knowledge, to proceed it, to calculatively fix it. So sometimes we say, no, you're too calculative. So too calculative doesn't mean that it is only with the equations or formulae, etc. It can be even the other knowledge which can be calculative. And then it is the next one is metacognitive knowledge, which is to constructively put his or her ideas. So the learner will be able to apply the same in this manner. See, look at this pink shade and how it leads again to analyze, to evaluate, and to create. Because the third part, See, when we are setting a question paper in our college, I'll give you example of Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology. When we set question paper for our students, we set into these levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So we write L1, L2, and L3. So L1 level is, everybody knows that it is remember, and L2 level is understand, and L3 level, it can be, it can go. It can go to L3, L4, L5, L6. So we write just L3. It is higher level. So see, it is moving, right? It is going to again classify and put it in order, put it in rank, then combine as a whole. So all these will come. See, it is said, greater the root, sweeter the fruit. Deeper the root, sweeter the fruit. So if the concept is very strong, if the base is very strong, ultimately it will lead to the greater learning. And then next, in this you can see analyze part, the learner will be able to explain it very confidently. So not simply name of a person, place, animal, thing, or Brownian motion. An English botanist scientist made an experiment to make an evidence in theory. Not those type of theoretical concept, but saying those concepts with confidence, saying those concepts with a meaning, and explaining it with a sure knowledge and thorough knowledge. So after explaining, the learner will be able to assess whether I said it is correct or wrong, whether I am able to assess my own learning potential, and also the teacher will be able to assess it. It's vice versa. So you're giving a kind of a way to the learner to assess his own learning ability. And then next one, it will lead, this analyzing will lead to plan well. Learner will be able to come out with his own concepts. Learner will be able to come out with his own planning. And it will be a wonderful, beautiful learning experience. And then again, it goes like, procedural knowledge to differentiate, to compare and contrast, whether some other noun, now we are talking about noun is the name of a person, place, animal and thing. Some other part of the speech is also existing, which has roots in this kind of thing. See, learner will be able to differentiate. Like learner will be taking one concept and trying to connect it with the other, or sometimes trying to make a distinction between the two concepts. So differentiate the difference between the two or three, etc. And the last one is achieve. Learner will be able to definitely achieve what he has targeted in the initial stage in the list part of it to the achieving stage. So this also has its root. You see, it goes to evaluate and create. Now coming to evaluation, it is a very important role, and all of us are very much aware. And so, teachers keep asking in this digital era, how can we evaluate? See, we are taking online classes, and sometimes students are not paying attention. They are behind the screen. Evaluation becomes rather difficult and all that. So those questions will be solved if we try to follow this methodology of lesson plan, especially taking into consideration this Bloom's taxonomy. So here, evaluation takes into consideration conclusion. He will be able to very strongly conclude whether he has learned or not. Teacher will be able to also understand the conclusion part, like, how is he able to, very strongly say that he has learned something. So concluding means having a real impact on learning. And then next one is compose, making something new out of it, like giving an end to what is already being said, and then trying to come out with a new kind of ideas. Evaluating, concluding by giving, it could be better if I would have incorporated this. It would be better if I would have added this kind of ideas. It would be better if I have learned noun is the name of a person, place, animal, or thing. I can use all these nouns in a form of a story. I can use this in a form of a dialogue. So how is a learner able to conclude? That confidence level of a learner will be built up if he is able to evaluate on his own, and at the same time teacher is trying her level best to enable learner to evaluate. And then here it goes to composition, once again framing the new level, and this conclusion will lead to action. So after action there can be reaction, otherwise it can be a greater action. So it will be leading to a greater action. So reaction also will turn to a greater action, and at the end, the crux of the matter, the crux of the whole chunk of this Bloom's taxonomy is centered on actualization. And what you and me need to understand today from this entire teaching and learning in the digital era is to emphasize on this process of learning pick up the factual, conceptual, procedural, and metacognitive knowledge from the knowledge dimension of a learner. I have already told you what is the knowledge dimension. It is nothing but cognitive, affective, and psychomotor aspects, and then move on to, to make the world a better place, or make your classroom a better place, and make a beautiful learning experience. Now, I have a wonderful suggestion for you. There is a wonderful book written by Michael Allens. So I'm going to give a soft copy of this book. Of course, I will pass it on to Dr. Regin, and he will also put it on a group. And then you can go through this book. It's amazing. It's an amazing and wonderful guide to e-learning. So actually, a few of our faculty members from Andhra Loyola College were trained at LIBA. So LIBA, it is a Loyola Institute of Business Administration. And we have taken a training for digital teachers, training on digital teachers. So all of us got trained, and then we were, motivated to learn to read this wonderful book, and to pick up some techniques from this book, because it is very important, as we are all in the digital era, to know about this Michael Allens, to know about, this is a second edition. And I would suggest you please read this book at least once, so that you get new ideas how to read, and then how to teach, what exactly is this e-learning and why it is so essential. We are in the post-COVID phase right now, so we can bring a lot of revelation. We can bring a new teaching and learning experience. We were very seldom we were using technology in the past, but now it has become mandatory, and some of the schools, they haven't opened. Some of the colleges also haven't opened. Even now there are teachers still teaching online, and everybody's thinking that it is a need of the hour. And then all of us, I think after the situation comes to the normal, I think all of us still will continue to use a lot of e-learning techniques. We will try to embed it, right? We will try to amalgamate this e-learning techniques in our teaching and learning. So please read this book. It will be useful for fun and effective learning programs, for any company, for any teaching exposure, teaching, learning forum, etc. In that book, I was mesmerized. I was highly motivated with the 7 magic keys to enhance learning motivation. They're amazing. The 7 keys are really magical. If you try to use this one key, so very important keys, they are very useful. Unless and until you have a key, you cannot open the chamber, you cannot open the lock, right? If you want to unlock something, you need a right keys. So if you want to unlock the mind of a learner, you need to use appropriate keys. So what are those keys, and what is Michael Allen suggesting all of us through these wonderful keys? So I'll just read out one key right now, and then present to you how wonderful these are and how appropriate it will be if you use these keys in your learning classrooms. So the first key is build on anticipated outcomes. You have to build on anticipated outcomes. What are those anticipated outcomes? See, the title of the book is Michael Allen's e-learning concepts. So teacher has to come up with anticipated outcomes. The second one is put the learners at risk. So we need to put the learners at risk. He's saying his second magical key is to put the learners at risk. And the third one is subject the right content for each learner. And the next one is use an appealing context. And the next one is have the learners platform multi-step task. And the next one is provide intrinsic feedback. And the last one is delay judgment. So come to the first key, build on anticipated outcomes. So what are this powerful key? See, just look at the arrow which is there in front of you. Anticipated outcomes means every teacher has to go with the definite outcomes to his or her class. Unless and until you go with outcomes, you will not know what will come out of that class. Because our students try to, brand us with the product we take to the class. So if you take a good product, you will be branded as a very good teacher. So there is a teacher, ordinary teacher, kind of a teacher, and a proper teacher. So if we want to be a proper teachers, we have to go with underlined outcomes to the class. So if you want to go with the underlying outcomes in this digital era, whether digital or non-digital, you have to have your lesson plans or your entire syllabus in front of you, and you need to pick up appropriate outcomes for each lesson so that you know what is the outcome you are going to bring out of that class. So anticipated outcomes is a definition of purpose, the impulse behind our behavior that gives expression to who we truly are. So if you go with the real outcome, definitely you will target, you will highlight on those outcomes, and you will come out victoriously, gloriously, with the true satisfaction that your learners have learned something. Okay, the second one is put the learners at risk. So what is the second key? Putting the learners at risk, which means not creating problems to learners by not giving them marks, or not creating a problem to learners by giving them complicated tools, like maybe they are not accustomed to Google Classroom, they are not accustomed to Moodles, or they are not accustomed to way of answering quiz and all that. It's not that. Giving learner a definite problem, defining a problem, giving them a problem, and expecting a solution from the problem, encouraging a learner to solve the problem, maybe putting them into a group, or encouraging them to come out with a solution, differentiating fact from opinion, generating alternative solutions, evaluating alternative relative to target standards. See, all these are the aspects of putting the learners into risk. So just look at the picture over here. To learn, students need to do something. Putting learners at risk also is to understand the mind of a learner, and giving him appropriate solution to what he is undergoing, the problem which he is facing. At the same time, giving him also situation where he will be able to handle, and there will be a definite learning experience. We have beautiful theories in language learning, propounded by Georgi Lozano, propounded by Sigmund Freud, B.F. Skinner. These are all psychologists, and they have brought in a lot of learning theories. And if you try to read those theories, you will understand that there is something to do with the learner. So learner cannot be simply kept aloof in the classrooms. Learner also has to at times mingle. He should be given a situation where he will be having a learning experience. So putting him at risk at some times by asking him to learn and come out with a solution, etc. So there is a lot of things to be talked about this. And Michael Allen has beautifully designed, described, he has given a lot many examples, pictorial aspects in the book. Then subject the right content for each learner. The third key, magical key of Michael Allen is to subject the right content for each learner. So what is the right content for each learner? Sometimes we go to the class and we teach students at a stretch on whole, without taking into consideration the graded level abilities of learner, not knowing what the learner undergoes, not knowing the pain and the agony of a learner. Just look at this picture. This learner is just putting his head on this book because maybe ideas are too complicated. He is not able to understand. So because the teacher has not given him the right content, teacher has taken it for granted that everybody can understand. So there are graded abilities of learners in the classroom. So we should understand that mixed level abilities, and then segregate them, grade them, put them into peer groups, vertical grouping, then collaborative learning, etc., and make a difference. So we have to generate the facts, concept, theories, and principles which are taught and learned in the specific academic courses. So not simply going and teaching everybody at a time. Yeah, your time factor matters. You will ask me so many questions for this. How is it that we are able to complete? How will we complete our syllabus? And then how can we frame our time? So we have to, organize it. That is why we said that there is something called learning outcomes, giving a solution to a learner. So slow learners and advanced learners. We have it in our NAC also, in criterion 2, very clearly given slow learners and advanced learners. How do we take care of these two learners, two types of learners in our learning classrooms? So very, very important to understand how to, segregate the right content for each learner. Next, use an appealing context. So when you're teaching even digitally, whatever may be the learning scenario, whatever is the forum, we have to give appealing context. It is said, text out of context is a pretext. Now, suppose contextually, if you try to, say something about a speaker, or contextually, if you try to say something, it makes a sense. But a text which is not in the context, you go and highlight it somewhere outside, that doesn't make a sense. So we have to see that the context is appealing. Whenever we talk to students, we need to give those appropriate and relevant examples, digital examples of whatever we are implementing in our class by using appealing context. Otherwise, it will turn out to be a pretext. It will not have a lasting experience. And one more thing over here, there is something called long-term memory and short-term memory. So short-term memory means remembering only for short time. See, suppose this is also classified by Sigmund Freud. He has written a wonderful book, Interpretation of Dreams. So he is also trying to say how the entire process of learning and understanding conscious, subconscious, unconscious, again, it is psychological aspects of learning. He tries to say how a learner learns. And then there is something called long-term memory and short-term memory. So how well we are able to take the concept and put it in how it goes to the long-term memory. So how will it go? If it is appealing to the learner, only it will go. Now, what should teacher do to make it appealing is the entire question. So teacher has to focus on the preparation part of it. Teacher has to focus on how well she has designed it. Teacher has to focus on how technically she is sound or how academically she is sound, etc. So appealing context will entirely, soothe the learning atmosphere. Next, have the learners platform multi-step task. Have the learners platform multi-step task. So to design game-based task, gamification. Now, gamification is very important, and Michael Allen has wonderfully explained about gamification. See, engineering colleges and all, they try to, exhibit these kind of concepts, focusing on the learning experience, using games to learn, using a playway method to learn in a simplified language, using games. So ultimately, through the games, kind of an activity, or there is a learning process. If you give a quiz, so it is also something like to do with it breaks down, or it removes the boredom, right? So learners see something new and comes something of a digital kind of thing, and they are very enthusiastic to take the quiz or to take some assignment, which is very important. And then bringing games also is equally important. So multi-steps through different things, context problems, and then structure distributed task. It can be gamification, etc. Game-based task. Provide intrinsic feedback. This key is very important, that teachers should provide intrinsic, very useful feedback to the learner. So if learner has not performed well, so immediately don't try to go on blame learner that you're not performing well or the way you have written is very bad. Take time, give constructive feedback, because it do affect the learner, and it will affect his mentality, like his learning. This one, he will break down at times. He will not be able to positively take it. So it depends on the feedback what we give. It can be given in a very nice manner. It can be given in an appealing manner. It can be given in a using a very good language. Instead of telling this is not good, so you have done it very badly, it can be improvised. It can be touched up with these ideas. It can be made better. So those are the words, if you use using an giving intrinsic feedback, a very good genuine feedback from person to person. Again, not everybody you are giving a feedback, intrinsic, like specific feedback to specific learner. Not everybody as a whole, everybody has done a good job. So not giving common feedback, but trying to take a person into confidence and trying to encourage a person and giving a very good feedback, that will bring an amazing learning experience. And then delay judgment. This is the last key and very, very important key. You have to delay judgment, because if you judge this person is good for nothing, if you judge this learner doesn't do anything, then the whole thing is gone. The whole purpose is again defeated. We need to delay judgment at times. Teacher should take time to pass her judgment or pass comment, See here, you can see a learner standing in the middle and everyone is pinpointing at him. So if once teacher pinpoints someone in the class very openly, he becomes, victim like. He doesn't want to come out of his cocoon, and then he becomes introvert. He doesn't want to speak anything because he feels if he speaks for the second time, he will be blamed by everybody. So teacher has to delay judgment, and teacher also say, because though it is not a teacher centered class, it is a learner centered class. Teacher should take care of certain things, how she is going to facilitate her teaching and learning experience. So that is what the whole thing is all about, and a beautiful learning experience can take place. Now I will plunge into the topic. I have explained all these magical keys and you have been observing all this. Now comes the best part of the whole talk. I'm going to tell you about micro and macro teaching. So what is this micro teaching? Every one of us know what is micro teaching. So micro is the subject what you have, and then each topic, English. So for example, you have lessons or units, right, in that. And then you have detailed text, you have non-detailed text. Then you take chemistry, you have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, mathematics, and all that. You take different subjects. So macro lesson plan is the whole chunk. It is the whole thing, like a long period of time. It is taught for a long period of time. It's just the entire curriculum formulated by a teacher or by a subject expert or by any affiliated university which is affiliated to a college which is affiliated to university, etc. Or if it is an autonomous college, we all have our own syllabus, right? It is nothing but syllabus on the whole of a particular subject. But coming to micro lesson plan, it is a daily teaching strategy formulated by teachers for a specific day, for a specific lesson subject. It incorporates a specific topic that needs to be taught for a particular period. Now just reflect, introspect, and ask yourself, are you having this micro lesson plan right now? Are you incorporating this micro lesson plan in your day-to-day learning, teaching? The origin of the word macro, it originated from a Greek word, macros, meaning long and large. And the word micro originates from the Greek word mikros, meaning small and short. So now let me present before you what is this micro and macro. Though many of you, maybe from BED, from B.Ed background, will be, having the entire knowledge of education, it is good in this digital scenario also to introspect on these kind of aspects for a better learning. Okay. And then what are the aims of micro and macro teaching? To design an efficient curriculum plan for a subject to teach a class for entire academic year, to formulate objectives and record the progress of daily classroom activity. Now, what is this micro teaching? It is to design an effective lesson subject teaching plan for students for a specific duration of class and period, to schedule and plan effective daily classroom activities for students. We need to schedule, we need to plan it exactly accordingly, according to the class, according to the hour, according to the student, according to that particular class. Now, if you're teaching English for first BSc, again you go for English to first year commerce or first year, not commerce, computer science. Again, English, the same subject is taught for 2 divisions. The class is different. The class is different. Though the syllabus is same, the class is different. So your teaching plan, this micro teaching plan during that period will be different. It will not be same because learners are different. Your planning for the classes are different. What are the objectives of micro? My concern is to put in your mind how important is this micro teaching. To improve student teacher collaboration and communication. If you prepare this micro teaching, you will have a very good understanding with your learners, with your students. You will enhance teaching methods by encouraging teacher to assimilate new teaching skills. Teacher will be able to enhance the methods by bringing new ideas. Now, if you start making micro lesson plan, you will know where to incorporate this digital technology, because whole thing cannot be done. Okay, of course, you are teaching digitally, but you need to sometimes call the learners on a common platform You need to instruct learners on the common platform. You need to tell them what is to be done, right? So teacher, if she knows what is, how to segregate that particular hour, so if she knows how well to plan that, she will be able to assimilate new ideas, she will be able to generate new knowledge, and she'll be able to present that knowledge and make new learning experience and give new teaching skills. Then motivate teacher to implement smart class strategies while teaching. If she is ready, if she is going with a micro teaching, she will make the classroom very smart. So now we are talking all about smart way of teaching. So again, strategies while teaching. So there is while teaching task, pre-task, while teaching, and post-task. So micro plan will have this, micro lesson plan will have these three aspects. Again, taking into consideration factual aspects, procedural aspects, and then these cognitive aspects of learning, and then understanding, pre-task, giving students pre-task, giving students while class, in the class, and post-task. It will improve teachers' confidence level. So simply you go with one gadget and teach. So that doesn't make the whole thing out of it. It will give teacher a confidence. Now, which app to use, or which teaching tool is effective, whether I can plan this one, whether I can lead the learners on the discussion forum through Moodles or through LMS, whatever we can call it as. LMS means nothing but Moodles. So whether I can give assignments on LMS, etc. Learning management system. Provide teachers in-depth closure to the level of understanding of every individual student, and at the end this teacher will be able to give in-depth understanding to every individual student. She will be able to ultimately become the she will be highly successful in her teaching career, because she will know her learners, she will know her students better than anybody else could know, because she has planned the whole thing taking into consideration her class. So I have a small activity. I think it is, already 7. I will keep a forum for discussion. You, in the light of my presentation, you can ask me questions, and I will try my level best to answer. I have one lesson plan over here. Actually, it is in another slide. The lesson plan, what we have prepared, I would like to show a model, and then how this model can be used. So I'll stop presenting over here right now, and before I could come up with a model, so do you have any questions? First of all, let me make it clear. Do you have any questions about the theoretical concepts before I go to micro lesson plan? I'll just try to demonstrate one micro lesson plan, how we have prepared, and how digital tools we have also used in the micro lesson plan. Where is a platform for using the digital tools, and how wonderfully this can be embedded with the digital technology. So I would like to demonstrate. If you have any question, you can raise your hands, or you can type it in the chat box. So where is the moderator? Is there moderator?
Yes, sister. I think Ishfaq Wani has raised his hand.
Okay.
Ishfaq Wani and Nasrina.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself
and ask.
Yes, and ask. And there are no questions in the chat box. In case anybody has any doubts, any questions from sister, can ask.
Yeah, I will present.
Ma'am, excuse
Yes.
me. I'm
Yes.
Dr. Chitra from Kutralam speaking, ma'am.
Okay.
I belong to physics.
Okay.
The teaching methods and all for other papers in physics we can adopt. For example, electricity or
Yes.
heat and etc. But when we teach mathematical physics or something like dry subjects, I can say few.
Okay. Okay.
Where we cannot apply our own techniques and methods to create
Okay.
interest. In that case,
Context. Okay. I will tell you. I will support tomorrow 2 of my colleagues from engineering stream. One is Dr. Ajay Kumar, and the other colleague is Mrs. Prasunna from Computer Science. Dr. Ajay Kumar is from EEE department. They themselves have framed this micro lesson for their subjects. And theirs is engineering. You imagine how dry those subjects will be. And so wonderfully well they have framed. Actually, in fact, I wanted to ask one of the engineering faculty, Dr. Ajay Kumar, at least to, present the subject related concept to, because English, yeah, everyone says that English is very easy. We can easily make activities. Now your question is for maths, but we can do it very well because our maths faculty members, we have maths also in SNH department, and they have wonderfully framed a lesson plan for even mathematics. It depends on how you design. See, pre-task, while task, while teaching, that is before teaching, while teaching, and after teaching, post teaching. So it depends on three and how teacher segregates. There are activities, you just need to be very creative. You need to be very creative. You can get it and you can make it a wonderful learning experience. Why do you think about a dry subject as a chalk and only blackboard and a chalk? See, when there was no technology, when there were no physical classes, how did these maths teachers teach? So they came up with a digital instrument and they started writing on the slate, and then they started, using mirror kind of technique and teaching and all that I have seen in our college. And I have also heard from my companions, they did wonders. So you can, if you follow this micro lesson plan, you yourself will get ideas, right? I told you, once you are into the topic, once you plunge into your topic, think from different dimensions, you will get a lot of ideas. See, you can come and you can write equations, you can formulate a small equation book, and then you can make it as a learning game. Then you can use a quiz kind of model by using some technology in it. Incorporate it before task, incorporate it while task, incorporate it after teaching, etc. So nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible on this face of the earth. Even the driest of dry subject can be taught with a lot of enthusiasm and vigor. Dr. Chitra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, you can. You're capable. You can do it. Definitely. And it is not.
I will adopt wonderful methods, like in the earlier period itself, 20 years back itself, with the new technologies I have used with the diagrams, playing methods and all. I used to adopt. And I'm quite interested in teaching. Excuse me, dogs are barking. So, but nowadays, younger generation are not able to teach because I'm the head of the department, and
Yes.
I find it difficult situations for the young teachers to communicate with the students, and they. I cannot say they are not capable, but they are not much interested in adopting the new techniques and all. In such situations, how we should tackle it?
I think my companion has raised her hand, Mrs. P. Prasunna. I think she would like to share. She would like to say something about it. Madam, can you unmute yourself and speak?
Sister?
Yes.
Oh, nothing to share, sister. By mistake, I think I have pressed that button.
Okay, by the way, you have raised your hand. You just try to tell about your computer science lesson plan. How did you design and how do you feel that lesson plan, micro lesson plan?
Yes, sister. So actually at the beginning of every semester, so we'll be having some orientation program. In the program, like sister and other senior faculty members, they share their experiences and the tips and techniques we need to follow in our teaching. So by taking all their advices, we prepare the micro lesson plan. So in the micro lesson plan, we incorporate all these techniques like how to teach the students without making them get bored. So how to introduce the activities, how to make them involved in teaching process actually. So it is the teaching will not be like one-sided, so both-sided. So more interactive sessions we plan, and of course we will release this micro plan at the beginning of the semester only. We will let the students also know how we are going to teach, what method we are adopting, so that the students feel very interesting to attend the next classes. So likewise, much focus is on much emphasis on micro lesson plan and carrying out this lesson plan throughout the semester.
Yes. Thank you. So tomorrow she will emphasize on the digital tool because they are computer science and they are all engineers, so they will be able to speak on technology. Since they both are speaking on a lot of technological gadgets and all that, I felt that I should talk about micro lesson plan, which is very important. And since it is, this digital era, teachers will forget. They will simply go with technology and they will not plan anything. They will take it for granted. So I wanted to remind you, this is a beautiful occasion, this on this forum like this, to keep it on your mind about planning. Planning is very important. So anybody else would like to ask a question?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Very good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. Good evening.
Ma'am, in the slide of macro and micro,
Yes.
talked about two different classes where we should teach entirely differently in two
Yes.
different classes. Science class and commerce class, or in science class and arts class.
Yes.
But in a single classroom, there are number of students from different backgrounds,
Yes.
especially in multiculturalism. What I mean by multiculturalism is that intra-culture.
Yes. Intra-culture. Yes.
Intra or in intra-district, there are a number of students from different backgrounds, from different understanding. Madam, what we to do, especially in the teaching, especially in the lesson plan, as far as this macro and micro, this lesson plans are concerned. And
Yeah.
please write on this issue.
Yeah, I would like to suggest, nice question, wonderful question. I would like to suggest, before preparing the micro lesson plan, teachers should know the class. So that's why there is something called induction period. There is something called induction or a kind of a buffer period. Teachers should take time to know the class. Know thyself. Socrates, a great philosopher, said, know thyself. So I would say, know your class first. Unless and until you know what kind of learners you have, their behavioral attitude, their ways of learning, their methodologies, their style, how will you be able to define? Because suddenly you go to a class with one plan and then the whole thing changes. So you should know your learner and accordingly frame. A common skeleton can be given to the micro lesson plan by laying all your topics into that, but ultimately the activities, the designing part of it will depend only on the class. It depends on the students. See, there are many activities. We have been trained by British Council, and then we have been trained by British Council. They have given number of activities, and it's not only one person or English department has been trained. Lot many teachers from various streams were trained in our institute. So likewise, if you try to take exposure and try to see, there are a lot many methods of learning. So it is not looking at learner from one background and then concluding that she or he only learns that much. There will be graded level abilities. So understand those graded level abilities and try to frame accordingly, design your micro lesson plan accordingly, and then try to move ahead. Then that learner, there can be a better learning experience, good learning experience. So it is nothing that teacher cannot teach with a different learning group of students, like different different backgrounds or different cultures and all that. It is not that. It is the way the teacher designs, the way teacher tries to share her knowledge, the way she plans. The whole thing lies in planning. So you have vertical grouping, you have collaborative learning, you have peer task, you have even in the entire class of 60, we are able to effectively manage and handle the class by giving them, these kind of activities in the class of 60. You imagine entire class of 60, because BTech students, engineering students, those who come to study engineering, they are all rural students, to rural children coming from a remote village. And you can understand their learning styles. Some of them are not from English medium background. They are coming from vernacular background. Then how are we managing? So we need to set a task. We need to set apart, we need to see that these students, you need to cater to their needs. Yeah, that is what I would suggest. Can anyone say something about it? Like if you want to express your ideas about this particular thing, you are free to say so. No problem. Or anyone has any other question, you are free to answer. So I would suggest there should be learning methods. You should know a lot of methods of both teaching and learning. Anybody, any stream should know the different methods of teaching and learning. So because I am from the physics background, I am from chemistry background, I do not know, only English teachers know. No, now we are in the digital era. It is high time for us. That's why I have given you Michael Allen's book. I am going to forward it shortly, that Michael Allen's book. Please take the book and try to go through. You will find a lot of beautiful concepts. I'll send it across to Regin sir, and Regin sir will put it on your group. Definitely. So any other question? No, let them
Sister,
ask. Yes.
I don't find any questions. Anybody else for questions? So, would you like to show us your lesson plan, ma'am, or you will send it in the group?
No, I'm showing, but I have again a presentation part. Okay, let me
No,
see.
just say we are there now.
You're there. So again 10 minutes. I was afraid about it actually. I don't know what happened. Each time I presented, it was wonderfully done well, but I don't know why this computer made a problem today or why it is not opening. I don't know, because I also delivered lecture many a times on this forum and Dr. Regin's workshop, and it went on so well each time. But today I don't know what happened. Research. Let me. Micro lesson plan. So I'm opening it on my desktop. So let everyone see how the micro lesson plan is, how we have designed. See, is it open? Can you see?
Yes, sister.
You can see, right? Okay. So I will put it in a presentation mode. These are not slides. Okay, I have to move. So it's a Word file. So we have written main objectives of micro lesson plan. So what are the objectives? Entire objectives of your curriculum objectives. Now you're talking about English, or you're taking an example of physics or chemistry or science. You're talking about the main objectives over here. So write those main objectives: to develop fluency, confidence, and accuracy in speaking English, a better career prospect, as well as improvement in social life. So I have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Learn basic LSRW abilities of English, to attain fluency in speaking English. So these are the objectives given by the university. We are affiliated to JNTU Kakinada, and they have given, the university has given these objectives. So now coming to the detailed lesson plan, I'm just showing you my lesson plan. The first lesson is a draw full of happiness. So what lesson you have in your text, you have to put it, formulate it. Then we have given factual, we have given conceptual aspect of it, procedural aspect of it, and applied aspect. This particular lesson, how it is factually. I explained to you Bloom's taxonomy. So in the light of Bloom's taxonomy, what are the factual aspects of the lesson, conceptual aspects, and procedural aspects? And at the end, to understand the social, to understand social or transactional dialogue spoken by the native speaker of English. So this lesson, a draw full of happiness. It's a text prescribed for students from a newspaper. Actually, it is a newspaper article which was published on March 25th, 2018. A lesson is so simple. If you take it for instance, this lesson is all about a simple cupboard. Once upon a time, it was placed over there, and then the drawer of the cupboard remained closed for 25 years. It was not opening. So, they tried. People of the family, they tried to open this drawer many a times, but they failed. So at one moment, the writer, the one who is writing article, she remembers how she motivated her father to break open the drawer with a hammer. And after, a lot of trials, the drawer was broke open. And inside the drawer, they could find all the cosmetic items, because it is a dressing table, right? So inside the drawer, all the cosmetic items were there. So what were lipstick, mascara, all kinds of bindi, all those cosmetic items of 1990s. So that is the beauty of the lesson. And the writer says that 1990s products are all natural and the beauty of the age. And then she tries to recollect how she was when she was small. She used to see Ramayana, Mahabharata, Champak and Tinkle were the magazines of the day. Eclair was the toffee of the highest order. Stamp collection was the hobby. And she tries to recollect how mothers used to encourage children to play all the natural games, outdoor games. But today, because of the digitalization, because of all the science and technology, people have forgotten to, really understand the value of, I don't say that science and technology is good, but overusage. They have forgotten the naturality of the age. So the writer is reminding the students, like the lesson reminds the students that you practice technology, which is excellent, but don't try to forget something which is also important, which has the naturality in the age. So that lesson, how am I going to teach? So how am I going to teach? Through this detailed lesson, A Drawer Full of Happiness, students will develop an appreciation for language and literature because the lesson is taken from, the lesson is published in a newspaper. So it is a journalistic vocabulary. All the concepts over there are beautifully, placed together or designed according to the journalistic style. Then grammar part of it also is given over there in the text. Students should be able to learn the basic sounds, procedural, and at the end, they should be able to write their creative and imaginative idea. Now, the title of the lesson is Drawer Full of Happiness. How can a drawer have happiness? A drawer cannot have happiness. Drawer has only cosmetics. So it is an imaginative kind of thing, right? So happiness means it is connected to the past memories, bygone memories. So it is, taking those students to develop their own creative concepts and ideas. So how I have segregated detailed text, A Drawer Full of Happiness, factual, concept and procedural, making it again into smaller components like reading, prescribed text, basic vocabulary and GRE, LS, RW skills, all those. And now you see here, this is very important. This is what I would like to say. Here there is a topic, a text, A Drawer Full of Happiness. Then the objective of a lesson to develop love for language and literature through appreciating a text. Then before class, what is an activity? If you click on this link will directly take to the, this link will directly open up. It will take you to the text. So I have given the text which is prescribed in the Hindu, A Drawer Full of Happiness. See, you imagine how these are. It is a cupboard, a dressing cupboard, and the drawer was remaining closed for so many years, 25 years, it was unopened. And how, finally, and then the entire text over here is placed before them because it is a newspaper article, so I could easily share this with learners. So here one video clipping, which I have put it in another learning management system. Then that is before class. They have to come prepared. They have to at least go through the text. Then in-class activity like micro teaching, I have given quiz. So I will have a brainstorming. I will ask, come on, my dear students, tell me, what do you understand by a drawer full of happiness? Can there be happiness in a drawer? Can you imagine happiness in a drawer? Is it not an abstract idea? Come on, brainstorm. Then they will come up with one idea. Or I will show PPT, which is already given over here. This PPT, again, 20 minutes. Language, game and puzzle, again, on the title, or poll activity. We have different learning systems on that one. Poll activity, 10 minutes, if I could conduct. And then students' creative response for 10 minutes. So it all depends. I have planned my class like this. And the learning outcome is to understand the basic introductory note of the text and to understand the journalistic and creative style, to speak freely about the title of the text and to learn basic vocabulary. So this is first day I taught that lesson only an introduction to the text. Second day, how do I design? So I have given 1990s pictures. If you again go back, you will find all kinds of pictures over here. I have given them. And then to present creative insights of the writer through the text. Products of 1990s. Then revise the previous class, that is 20 minutes. Then presenting textual ideas. What exactly the text is all about. Language game. Students' creative response, again 10 minutes. So we have, our class is for 1 hour, right? 20, 40, 50, 60 minutes we say. Again, 1 hour. If it is 1 hour, then 40 minutes are buffer. Again, they have extra time. So I have designed it like that. 60 minutes. Yeah, correct. 1 hour. Sorry. So I think this is not a previous one. This is the new one only. Yeah. 60 minutes. It's correctly 1 hour. Sometimes it is 55 minutes, 50 minutes also a class. So it depends on that we have designed. Then learning outcomes, students should be able to understand the basic idea of the text in the light of the title, they should learn the basic grammar vocabulary through language game and answer questions related to the text. Then there, day 3, I have given basic nouns because there are nouns. So already reading is over, explanation is over, PowerPoint presentation is done. I have given the whole chunk of the text. Then again here, PPT on nouns, then functional words, yes or no questions in connection to this grammar part of it. Creative expressions, that is new insights through the sentence, and post your discussion on the discussion forum. So I have a special blog, special place for the learners where they can post their discussion, they can post their response, and in the Google Classroom or on the WhatsApp group. So they try to do, they do try to give the creative response. I try to send Google Forms, etc. So day 4, again another activity. So 4 days I have taken one lesson. Then a lot of links are given to make students listen, speak, read, write through activities. Then video clips for listening I have given. Highlight short paragraphs from the text and explain punctuations and through PPT. Then video clip for listening. So again, this is PPT and all that, 20 minutes. Silent reading again 20 minutes. And learner's response again 20 minutes. Then creative works through PPT if they have something to be done. 5th class maybe, or after that, that is the last post class. Able to write at least a few sentences correctly. Able to write a few dialogues, summarizing of the text assignments on the LMS, Learning Management System. So that is one lesson. Like that, we have lesson plan for each and everything the entire college has done. So this is the way we are following. So I will stop sharing this. Hope you got it.
Yes, ma'am, very informative. In fact, our chat box is full of praises for you.
Oh, no.
And,
Whatever I have
many-
shared. Whatever knowledge I have just shared so that, see, we want to make this world a nice place. That is what Michael Jackson has beautifully, he sang, no? Heal the world. Make it a better place for you and me. So let it be a wonderful learning experience. Let us take examples of great leaders, great people. And I thank Dr. Ejin and a wonderful person like Dr. Subra for, for wonderfully welcoming, giving a welcome address, and all the learners on this forum. Thank you so much. And I'll share that book with you. If you want anything, I can really share the material or whatever you ask. And you are very much free to interact or keep in connection. You can follow me up on my college mail ID, or you can also ask Dr. Ejin if you need anything else in the future. We are there always to help. Let us all learn more.
Yes, I know, Sister this Andhra Loyola College is a great source of inspiration. All the teacher faculties are really good. I think Dr. Ajay is also joining us tomorrow.
Yes. Dr. Ajay is also joining. Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah, actually, in fact, Dr. Ajay only spoke. Dr. Ajay only spoke on this micro lesson plan to all our staff members, because I explained to them only the Bloom's taxonomy and the other aspects of micro teaching and micro learning. But Dr. Ajay, since he is from the technical background, he elaborated it by framing a lesson plan and teaching, making a faculty understand how to prepare a lesson plan. So my thanks to Dr. Ajay also. Tomorrow he'll be talking to you, and he'll be coming out with other wonderful ideas which can be incorporated into teaching and learning. So thank you so much for this wonderful chance and opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, especially for your tips to teachers, all of us here, to facilitate his or her learner. You gave wonderful tips, and your lesson plan simply rocked, because I also, could connect. I am presently working in a B.Ed college, and we have been, using traditional ways of maintaining the lesson plans. Now, this is the right time to amalgamate the new technology with the old one, and you perfectly did so well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you have to. And one more suggestion before I could end: please keep this lesson plan in a public forum, like on your website, college website. Somewhere you should have a place where you can keep your lesson plan in a public forum, because students should be able to have access for your lesson plan. Otherwise, how will they go and see the links? How will they know what they are expected to do? So it should be in a open forum, like kind of thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, in a WhatsApp group or Google Classroom, anywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. So I, on behalf of GTC Dharal and Cape Comorin Trust, thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you had a very enlightening session. Thank you, Dr. Sister Candy, for joining us, and
Thank you.